6:52 coming up. It was 6:53 in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's talk business, because the business chambers have been giving their perspectives on the impact of COVID-19, the road to recovery and so on. And now we're going to focus on the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. They are joining the call of the Arima Business Association, asking that banking and financial sectors work together with the business community to provide additional relief during the pandemic. By the way, have the bankers responded to what Rival Chattagoon said last week about having to pay so much interest even though they've been given a delay and that sort of thing? Have they responded at all? I haven't seen anything in relation, but anyway, let's move along, because the Tunapuna Chamber suggests that for a period of 3 to 6 months, principal and interest payments be deferred. However, the associated interest be capitalized should be calculated at 50% of the current interest charge. The Chamber is also advocating that online forms should be editable and remove the need to print, complete, scan and email in order to allow a greater ease of doing business. That's really the dinosaur way of doing electronic business, that you have to print it out and sign it and scan it. I thought we went past that. But we're joined now by Melissa Senhouse, the acting president of the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Ms. Senhouse, we're just seeing the top half of your head. If you could just tilt down your laptop a little bit. All right, perfectly. We're seeing it's a lot better now. Thank you very much. And I should mention, if you hear the name Senhouse, that's when you think automatically Max Senhouse. I need the money, the famous line from the ads in the 1980s, and her father sadly passed away in 2015, but he left an indelible image, if nothing else, not just in the world of business in Tunapuna, but with that advertising line about needing the money. Thanks very much for joining us, Ms. Senhouse.
Good morning, Fazeer, and thank you for having us, and good morning to your viewers as well.
Let's talk about the issues. What are the? And we're going to continue this discussion, by the way, after we pause for the news. So we'll have some time after the news to develop the points. What do you see as the fundamental issues right now, if we're talking about the road to recovery for the business sector?
Financing, Fazeer. One of the greatest challenges we are having is with the financial institutions, whereby they are saying they are deferring payments, right? Your loan installments. And this they are doing. However, it is costing the business community and individuals a significant amount of money, right? Whereby, let us say, if it is you have the payments deferred for 3 to 6 months, they are taking that interest and then adding it on to the installment. And then adding it onto your balance going forward. Banks are giving you 3 options. Either after the 6-month period, you pay the interest and then continue paying the regular installments for the rest of the loan, or the interest that has been accrued for that 6-month period then be added to the rest of your loan and your installments will be increased. What we have seen that has resulted in is a ridiculous amount of unforeseen expenses. So, example, one of our members confided that they had a loan for $270,000, and to defer it by 6 months is actually costing them $58,500 more. So, when you're talking about when the financial institutions are talking about they're supposed to be helping the business community, that doesn't equate to help, because it's costing us more, $58,500 on a $270,000 loan. You have some other financial institutions that are saying, okay, we will defer the loan for 3 months. However, at the end of that 3-month period, you need to pay the interest as well as your the 3 months loan installment at the end of that 3 months. And if it is, we are closed for the past month, and we are going into the middle of May, continuing forward. Where are you going to find the money to give these financial institutions the loan installment for 3 months?
Mr. Senhouse, if I could just jump in with a question before we pause for the news, and we'll continue the discussion afterwards, of course, so we will have some time to develop this point. But how would you respond to I'm assuming that the bankers might say, look, we are taking a hit as far as our cash flow by giving this allowance of 3 to 6 months. So we are depriving ourselves of liquidity for this period, and therefore we have to get compensated by tacking it on with the interest.
But the government has dealt with that. The government has, one of the first measures that the government took was to reduce the repo rate, right? And to allow greater liquidity within the system. So the banks have cash, unlike businesses. That actually for that 3-month window, I should say for that 2-month window, we would still have to be paying all our expenses with no income coming in.
We're going to develop the point, as you said, with Melissa Senhouse, the acting president of the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. So again, based on the numbers she just gave us from one of her members, a loan of 278,000, a deferral by 3 to, well, I'm not sure if it's, we'll get that clarified. It's a further charges of 58,500. Remember, Mr. Chattergoon talked about his loan arrangement, whatever it was, that results in an increase of 200,000 additional because of the deferral of the payments. Is that reasonable? What do the bankers have to say about this? But maybe they want to speak at another time when it's appropriate to them. But we'll hear from Ms. Senhouse when we come back after the news coming up right now at the top of the hour. Coming up towards 5 minutes after 7 o'clock in Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks very much for staying with us as we continue into the second hour of Morning Edition and continuing our dialogue with Melissa Senhouse, the acting president of the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. So you gave us some disturbing numbers there as far as a $278,000 loan and an additional charge based on the deferral of $58,500. But has there been any dialogue with the banks, with the financial institutions? Are you getting any sense that there's a willingness to reconsider these charges?
What I would applaud the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago for is that they actually had reached out to all their stakeholders to ask for suggestions, right, based on the needs of our membership, etc. And all the suggestions that we had actually put out in the statement were given to the Bankers Association in about the last week in April.
You gave out those suggestions. Have they actually indicated that they're going to consider them favorably, or are you seeing any indication that those recommendations that you would have put forward together with the ARIMA Chamber, which has endorsed some similar recommendations, that they will actually enact those and they will implement them?
We haven't received any word from BATAs yet, but we are hoping to see results.
Well, you're giving us a smile there, sort of a nervous kind of smile, as if you're not too sure if it's going to happen. But just in relation to the impact on business, and I think this is important that we understand it in not just from a central Port of Spain point of view, but elsewhere in the country, which is why we talk to different chambers throughout the country. How much are you all impacted? How serious is the hit financially for you and your members with this impact of COVID-19?
It's significant because most of the businesses in Tunapuna are family-owned businesses. You have a lot of small businesses, and many of them have indicated that they don't know if they will be able to reopen. One of our members actually sells jewelry, and she indicated that if she is unable to start back selling any of her goods by the end of May, she would have to close up because she's unable to pay the rent.
And it's obviously a very difficult situation. And from what we heard from the Prime Minister, the last time he gave an update as to extending the lockdown situation for non-essential businesses, he didn't indicate that this period would end on the 15th, but he also offered the caveat that if it is that it looked as if we were winning the battle with COVID-19 at this time, that there would be a consideration for the 10th, and the 10th is Sunday. Are you hoping that is going to happen, that there'll be an earlier opportunity for businesses to open? Because some are saying, look, now is not the time to take that chance. Now is not the time to open up, because if we really get hit by COVID-19, it's going to wipe out more businesses than are already in trouble. What is your view?
Yeah, because it's a delicate balance, because what we are seeing is that we understand the need to reopen businesses, and we are imploring that if that does happen, that of course it happens in a measured and phased basis, because the last thing that we want is for us to be hit with a second wave, because then everything that was done from March the 12th, when we had the first case, to now would be for naught. We would actually be starting from zero, not one, right? However, what we are also seeing is that persons are becoming so frustrated that they are flagrantly disregarding the public health ordinance, right? Because of course they want to make a dollar. But while they are doing that, of course, they are exposing the community to a possible spread. So example, weekend, I was aware of one doubles vendor that came out. And I mean, of course, he wants to earn his dollar. But at the same point in time, whilst he was out plying his trade, you had a mob of persons in front of his cart, and they were actually impeding the flow of traffic, right? Social distancing was not practiced. Nobody had on masks. And all you needed was one asymptomatic person in that bunch.
Yeah, and you could understand what would have happened there. And indeed, the health ministers talked about the multiplier effect in that regard. So there is impatience, there is desperation. I suppose you could do like Fat Boy in Pity Valley and prepackage it and find a gas station to sell it. That might be the idea. But the reality is, are you fearful, therefore, of the consequences of, let's say we were to open up non-essential businesses next week? Would you welcome that?
Yes, on a phased basis, and of course everything has to be measured. We have to be measured. If the CMO says yes, that the spread of COVID is limited, then I support it 100%, right? But of course it has to be phased and measured at every point in time. We keep checking the numbers, and of course we have to ramp up testing even more to ensure that we are not exposing ourselves unnecessarily.
It was already a difficult economic time, even without COVID-19, because it has been tough for the economy, for businesses generally, especially family-owned businesses, which you mentioned is the primary business activity in Tunapuna. Do you see many of your members surviving this period?
That's a very good question. Yes, I will say I see a number of our a significant number surviving, but then we also have businesses within the Tunapuna area, the smaller businesses that are not necessarily part of our immediate membership, that may not make it through.
We talked about the issue with the banks, and I know you highlighted in the media release a number of other issues: new loan initiative, purchase of account receivables. But point number 4, the ease of doing business. It's bewildering in 2020 that we're still having this discussion about the ease of doing business.
Yes. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that you actually have to, you're able to download a form, but you cannot edit it. I mean, there are some banks that offer that service, but then there are others that do not. And there are some banks you actually have to go into the bank to get the form. You know, in this day and age with technology, we're supposed to be able to go online and edit everything and send it, submit it.
And from your point of view, I mean, we all talk about whether or not this crisis is actually going to push us to where we should have been maybe 5-10 years ago already. We are seeing, that's what the reference with the doubles. I'm sure many people will realize now how they could do things that they may not have thought of before, that they could do things creatively and so on, be far more creative in what they're doing to keep their businesses going. Do you think that this particular experience, as devastating as it could be to us economically and otherwise, we could actually benefit from it as far as just the issue of the ease of doing business?
Sure, because I mean, most persons, when you're home, you have to be able to tap into that creative source within you to find innovative ways of doing things. And with a situation like this, when the banks want to, well, not only the banks, but all essential services, where they want to reduce the traffic coming into their business, they are forced to find innovative ways, right? So the banks, I am sure, are going to really look into ensuring that the majority of their forms would be editable. We're actually seeing where supermarkets are offering delivery service and curbside pickup. You know, I mean, you're seeing the creative juices flowing.
Well, let's hope that they flow even more as far as the consideration of the request from the banking sector. Melissa Senhouse, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us this morning to offer a perspective from the Greater Tunapuna Chamber of Industry and Commerce. Thank you very much, Ms. Senhouse, there, offering those perspectives. As we come around towards 7:14, approaching